Thank you for calling self-storage. This is how may I help you?
Yeah, and do you guys have any storage available, spots available?
You said you're looking for a parking space?
No, I need some storage. I'm moving to town, and I need to put my house in there, or my apartment, I guess I should say.
Okay, absolutely. Are you looking for an air-conditioned unit or a non-climate?
I think non-climate. I don't think anything in there is probably that, sensitive.
All right, and so with that, our non-climate units with the drive-up access, we have the largest being 10 by 35s, and then down from that we have 10 by 30s, 10 by 20s, and 10 by 15.
Yeah, maybe a 10 by 15. I mean, it's actually a 10 by 20.
A 10 by 20? All right, and those are starting at $269 base.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
In a world where brand experience is paramount, upholding your company's standards demands unwavering consistency in every location. At the SBOA, we understand the critical role consistency plays in driving your business's success. That is why we joined forces with MSI to introduce a revolutionary internal audit program tailored to meet the specific needs of your organization. Our game-changing audit program leverages cutting-edge technology and expert insight to bring you unparalleled accuracy and reliability. We know that success in this competitive environment is paved with adherence to operational requirements, and every company has its own standards along with state and local regulations to adhere to. So we've made our internal audit system completely customizable, all in a user-friendly app. The app enables on-site agents to collect real-time data and insights from their respective locations. This feature ensures that information is up to date and allows for quick responses to any issues or challenges that could arise. Our internal audit program also has advanced photo and video reporting capabilities. These visual reporting tools allow leadership to visualize non-compliant sites and gain a comprehensive understanding of the issues, with specific examples for clear context, which enhances communication and leads to faster resolutions. And it can be done with just a few clicks and the snap of a photo or quick video. And our program provides an in-depth understanding of each store's performance and challenges. This feature allows for a comprehensive assessment of how well each location adheres to operational requirements and brand standards, helping to identify areas for improvement. Are you ready to take your self-storage business to the next level? Explore our comprehensive suite of services, including internal audit programs, mystery shopping, and unlock your full potential. Contact us today to embark on a journey of excellence and success. 248-254-9000.
Are you a self-storage owner or operator looking for service providers to help at your facility? Well, the Storage Business Owners Alliance, also known as the SBOA, has you covered. The SBOA is a premier online hub for connecting self-storage owners and operators to industry-leading products and service providers. We provide one-stop shopping for your business with exclusive offers to save time and money. At the SBOA, we believe by coming together, we help owners and operators grow revenue, gain purchasing power, reduce expenses, improve efficiencies, and increase profitability. We also offer many resources such as our conferences and self-storage unlock webinars to help self-storage owners and operators gain the knowledge needed to become more competitive in the industry. To become an SBOA member or to find out more information, please visit www.thesboa.com today. We can't wait for you to join the Alliance.
Good morning, self-storage industry, and thank you for joining us today for another episode of Self-Storage Unlocked. Our topic today is Streamline Grow, Outsourcing for Self-Storage. I am Iris Segan, the president of the Storage Business Owners Alliance, better known as the SBOA. Before we get started today, I do have a couple of housekeeping items to share with you. If you have questions for the speakers today, please ask those questions in the chat area. Some of you have already started talking in there. Let us know who you are, where you're from. Get used to using that area. We love to hear from you. And I will be popping in occasionally so I can ask the panel your questions. If for some reason we can't get to your question today, don't worry. If you're registered, we will get back to you. We have your registration information. So whether we have time for your question or not, we will make sure you get those answers. Also, we will be asking you questions throughout our webinar. You'll see poll questions pop up on the bottom of the screen there. You see the ticker, and we will also put those in the chat. So please take a quick moment to answer the poll questions in the chat when you see them, because that helps us get to know our audience better, and we do appreciate your feedback. So in an evolving self-storage landscape, optimizing operations while focusing on growth is key to staying competitive. Whether you're an owner, a manager, or a vendor in the industry, exploring strategic outsourcing does help streamline tasks, increases efficiency, and allows you to focus on what matters most, which is growing your business. In today's session, we will dive into the practical approaches to outsourcing that can simplify your operations, reduce costs, and enhance your team's effectiveness. So with that said, I'm going to start and introduce our first guest, who is Christian Thurgood from Zion Call Management. Hi, Christian. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Iris?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day here. It's nice, beautiful fall, warm, sunny, it's just everything you want for this time of year.
Oh,
so,
good.
Christian, tell the audience, please, who you are, what you do with Zion, and just get them familiar with you.
Yeah, so thanks for having us, Iris. My name is Christian Thurgood. I'm an owner and co-founder of Zion Call Management. I've been in this industry now for over 10 years, doing remote management services, and been kind of partners in different businesses that have led us to become Zion within the last year and a half or so. And we're located in southern Utah, St. George, Utah, which is just about 2 hours north of Las Vegas. So it's desert here, and it is nice and sunny today too. Finally, it's been a little cold, but not probably compared to what some of you guys experience in other parts of the country. It's still pretty warm here. So anyways, happy to be here and introduce the rest of the team that's going to be joining us.
Great. Yeah. If you want to go ahead and introduce the rest of the team, we'd love to meet them.
Okay, great. So we have James Thurgood. He's my business partner and also my brother. We've been working together now for almost those 10 years that I've been in the industry, and he's over the operations for our business.
Great. And then we have, let me find him on my thing, Devin.
Yes, we got Devin Meinhardt, who's also a partner with us at Zion. And Devin, been working with him for about 8 years now, and he is in charge of all of the sales for our operation.
Great. And Ty Meinhardt, is there a relationship there?
Ty and Devin are brothers, and Ty is the owner of his own accounting firm, Storage Unit Accounting, and we partner with them to help operators streamline their business.
Great. Hi, Ty. Just let you know you are on mute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Got it. Thanks, Iris.
I'm famous for not knowing I'm on mute, so I just like to remind people. All right. And our last but not least guest is Josh.
So Josh Gracia, we're happy to have him join with us. He's one of our vendor partners as well in the industry, and he does marketing for Rev7. He's one of the owners of Rev7 Group, and he's been in the industry for about as long as all of us. So we've all been working together for a long time, and feel like we have a really good team here.
Yeah, this is a great panel. Well, I'm going to pop off, but I will come back in with questions as they come in, and I will let you guys go ahead and get started.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate everybody that's joining us today on this webinar. We're excited to talk about various topics with regards to managing a facility remotely and the different features and products and items that go into that. So we'll go ahead and start. I'm going to be facilitating the discussion, asking questions. So if anybody in the audience has questions, please feel free to put those in the comments. Iris will make sure that we get those. And I'm going to go ahead and start by asking James to kind of give us an overview of what remote management is and kind of some of the things that it entails.
Yeah, absolutely. So with remote management, it wasn't all that long ago in the storage industry, as I'm sure everyone knows, that the standard for operators was to have kind of a full-time manager or employee or even the owner on site at the facility all the time. And it was so much so that you see a lot of offices with apartments built above them so that the manager could live there. So they're living at the facility. And that's how it was for a long time in storage. And then with the rise of technology in the storage industry, that has just become less necessary, I guess. So you still see it sometimes, but especially with the new facilities that have been built, as ownership is changing hands, that's just not needed as much as it used to be. So that's where remote management comes in. And it essentially allows you as the operator to hand over the majority of the day-to-day tasks to somebody else to take care of. So things like taking all of the phone calls or the accounting or talking with the past due tenants, things like that, the day-to-day tasks, someone else can take care of for you for cheaper than having someone on site all the time. So depending on the facility owner, that can mean different things. So, if you're running your own facility and you like to be on site a lot and talking with people and working on the units and things like that, that for you, the remote management could mean just handing off some of the phone calls to someone else when you're busy and you don't have time to be on the phone. So that's one end of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum, it could be you are part of a group who looks to continually acquire properties and locations. For you, remote management could mean handing over more of the tasks where you are solely focusing on acquiring more properties. So you could hand over everything from the phone calls to the marketing, to the accounting, to the sales, to whatever it is. So it can be flexible, but that's kind of where remote management has come in the last several years.
Perfect. Thank you. So to kind of piggyback off that, Devin, want to bring you in here and and just ask, as you're talking with prospective clients, what type of operator are you seeing more and more in the industry when it comes to people that are either buying or acquiring facilities? What are the things that they're looking for when it comes to needing to operate those locations once they acquire them?
Good question. So in my tenure doing sales in self-storage, it's been interesting to see kind of a dynamic shift in the operator that we're working with and that we're seeing on a consistent basis. In the very beginning, it was interesting because we were talking to the mom and pop type owners, legacy storage owners that have been in business for 10, 20 plus years, and it's just been handed down throughout the family. And it was a lot of convincing of saying like, yes, you need a website. Yes, like marketing your business is important. Talking about the remote management practices that James mentioned. In the last several years, especially since COVID, we've seen a huge spike in the type of investors that just understand these practices on a lot more intimate level, that like, absolutely, I have a website. Is there a better website out there that is going to perform better? They compare and contrast remote management services from marketing to accounting to day-to-day management and answering phone calls. So I would just say that like those are the types of conversations that we're having more with operators now. Like they're a lot more in tune with the technology deck and the tools and resources that are at their disposal, and they're looking for options that will better increase their efficiency, that save on costs, that are going to have better customer experience for their tenants, and just give them that competitive edge as far as in their local areas as they set up a facility. Because I think everybody across the nation is feeling it, that storage facilities are popping up at kind of an unprecedented rate. And it comes down to your service offerings, the quality of those services, and like your ability to execute. And so everything that James mentioned, I feel like operators they're a lot more in tune with those. So it's from a sales perspective, it's kind of nice because I come into the conversation and I was talking to a guy that was brand new to storage yesterday, like first facility, and he rattled off 4 or 5 of the FMS platforms, facility management software platforms. And I asked him, I was like, well, it sounds like this isn't your first rodeo. He's like, well, actually it is. This is my first facility. I've just been a part of these storage groups like SBOA, and they're getting this kind of this education standpoint. So I would just say operators are coming to the table a lot more just in tune with the technologies at their disposal.
Perfect. Thank you. So now I want to bring Ty in to the conversation. And Ty is in a unique position where he's able to bring a lot of buyers and sellers together in the storage industry, just through his connections of doing accounting, having access to financials. So one of the questions I have for you, Ty, is as you're seeing transactions happen in the industry, what type of savings, just general ballpark, are you able to see, or I guess recommend to the person that might be purchasing a facility from somebody else? What type of savings are they able to get by implementing some of these remote management services and practices compared to the traditional way of managing a facility?
Yeah, great question, Christian. We're actually helping put one together right now where it's a storage facility that has just under 400 units, and they're spending just over $100,000 in payroll costs on an employee that sits there all day, on a full-time employee and then a part-time employee they're paying to sit there all day, not really sure what they're doing there. So in some cases, it is necessary to have an employee at the facility. In this case, I think by utilizing some of these management services like the call center, like accounting, like marketing, you can get someone in there that better kind of knows what they're doing, that's more familiar with the industry, and are able to significantly reduce costs from $100,000 down to $30,000 or $40,000 a year. So there are some significant cost savings in utilizing some of these extra management services.
That's super helpful. That puts it in perspective, right? From 100,000 down to 30, 40,000. I mean, that can make a huge difference on the bottom line for an operator.
A huge difference, especially in today's market. I mean, pre-COVID era where you were seeing cap rates during COVID and cap rates before that at anywhere from 4 to 7%, but interest rates were down at 4%, 3%. The financing part of the financial statement was significantly less. And now where interest rates are a lot higher, it does make a huge difference on the bottom line and from a cash flow perspective.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So staying on the same topic of money, I want to kind of move over to Josh and ask some of his opinions and expertise here. You know, obviously the lifeblood of a storage facility is getting the income, right? In order to save the money that Ty is talking about, you have to make it first, and you do that by getting rent. Well, you know, Josh, tell us in your experience what the most effective way is for an operator to market or advertise their facility to try and get people to come in and rent units, especially with all the competition out there nowadays.
Right. Yeah. The competition definitely has grown in the last, like Devin said, just to echo what he said, since COVID. It's amazing to see how many storage facilities have popped up, and just how the landscape of digital marketing especially has changed just in the last several years, and what used to work 8 years ago doesn't work now, and what's working now might not work in a couple of years from now. So currently I would say it really depends on a couple of things. One, your location. Where are you located? What facilities are doing around you as well? And two, where you're starting. Is it a brand new facility? Has it been a facility that's been established for a while? You've had a website out for a while. I think the most important thing, especially for digital marketing, is realizing that your presence online and the trust that you build with your reputation is probably going to be the most important thing for you. So when people see your facility online, that's great. They can find you. But if the trust around and the reputation around your facility is lacking, it's not going to make too much of a difference if they can find you. So that part of it, I believe, is probably going to be the most important, especially in today's market, with the competition, with storage facilities obviously being a hyper local business. Your surroundings mean everything to you. That is going to be kind of your key to get in getting those closed deals. So I would say building your website, being able to be found online through different strategies, whether that's SEO, which is obviously search engine optimization for like Google, Bing, and also when they find you online, having a built reputation that comes from your Google reviews, that comes from your website, having educational content, being able to find pricing online. That's going to be the most important, I believe, in today's landscape.
Perfect. Thank you, Josh. So once we acquire, or as an operator, once we acquire a tenant, we obviously need to service that tenant, right? Keep them happy, and then it kind of comes full circle when you ask for their review, and that kind of snowballs into other tenants hopefully wanting to rent at your facility. So one question I have for Devin is, how have you, I'll just say, like, 10 years ago, when we were talking to facility owners about maybe turning over their phone calls to like a call center or a call management service, there was a lot of hesitation, and understandably so, right? I think in general, call centers maybe bring a negative connotation. But Devin, in your experience, how have you seen that shift, that mindset shift from hesitation to really, people and owners getting serious about wanting to enlist a call center or a call management service to, one, get the rentals, and two, service those tenants after they've rented?
Yeah, thanks, Christian. I would agree 100% with what you said as far as like a mindset shift. There has been a very tangible perspective change when it comes to having these conversations with operators. And I feel like the number one factor there is just the mindset of growth for their business. I think operators are starting to see that it is very necessary for them to kind of embrace some of these technology changes, even if it means handing off and outsourcing some of the practices of their business. And we have like a very real conversation with operators. Like in the beginning, like when I was first doing sales, I remember it felt like this Mount Everest of trying to convince the operator that we were going to come in and do just as good of a job as they would, if not better. And it was such a hard conversation to have. But this is a mindset shift that I've had along the way as well, and probably some maturing on my own. Is in having these conversations now, it's not that we're going to come in and do a better job answering the phones and speaking to your tenants as you would, but we'll do a pretty good job, and they're going to get a professional experience. It's not going to be as if they were talking to you as the business owner. Like, there's just a level of authority and ownership that I feel like owners can speak to their own tenants, but that there's a sacrifice being made there as well. That if they're taking all of the phone calls, if they're doing their accounting and bookkeeping, if they're trying to figure out search engine optimization for dummies and watch videos on that, there's things that they're sacrificing by spending their time there instead of different ways to grow and scale their business. And so that's why these services exist at a professional level. Like, we can come in and scale the day-to-day operations for the business. Like, we won't be able to speak with the same authority and ownership as the business owner. But that being said, like, it replicates like a very close interaction to as if you were speaking to a manager. It's just not face to face, which I think a lot of people are accustomed to and might even prefer in this day and age. And so I think that that's been the biggest perspective shift that I've seen, is that owners are just starting to realize, like, yeah, if I want to go out there and acquire more properties, or if I want to grow other businesses outside of storage, I have my storage portfolio over here. I have my 9 to 5, and then I have whatever else that I'm involved in with the remainder of my time. Like there's going to have to be things that I outsource and hand off, things that like I can hand off to an accountant so that he can take care of all the daily receipts and updating those things to hand off to a marketing expert, things to hand off to somebody like a call center that they're going to still deliver on like a good professional experience and interaction with my tenants, that it's not going to suffer to the point where I'm losing business. I'm still gaining business. My customers are having a good experience. Their needs are being met. And then I can focus my needs elsewhere.
Christian, can I add something to that, to Devin's comments? So, since Devin talks to the operators and gets them in the door, right? My experience then is I'm kind of on that next step where I speak to the operators once they have handed over some of their operation to remote management partners. And what I'll say is that the facility owners can still be as involved as they want to be. And so I've talked to operators firsthand where that range all different aspects of those extremes. So I'll talk to owners that they don't want to hear from us unless there's a fire, right? But then we'll talk to owners that they want to hear from us quite a bit. They still want to have a good pulse on their tenants and what's going on. And I think if you have good remote management partners, if you're working with good partners, you as the owner can still be as involved as you want to be. And so while Devin gets them over that initial hump, or maybe they're a little bit scared to get some help there, I've witnessed firsthand that once they're there, they can kind of relax because they can still dictate how things are being run.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So while we're kind of on that topic, I want to ask you, James, yeah, I think initially you or Devin had mentioned something about management software, different management software platforms. And, that's obviously picking a management software platform is really, it's really important and it's necessary to have, especially if you want to manage your facility without being on site all the time. And there's a lot of different management software platforms out there. So the question to you is, how does a management software platform or choosing one affect who or how they choose who's going to manage the facility and a remote management? How does that work together?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think that has kind of changed a little bit in the last few years too. So like you just said, there are a lot more management software platforms today than there was 3 years ago. And so it is a very important choice now that you have so many options. What I would say in talking with operators is look at what your facility has, what you need help with, and then ask those questions to the facility management software. So for example, a lot of the popular ones will be able to handle all of these things. But for instance, if you have a gate at your facility, can the management software talk to my gate? Can it give codes automatically when people rent units? Can it lock people out if they're late paying? Can my manager or whoever's helping manage, can they open the gate from within the software if someone's having trouble? That's one aspect of it. The other aspect, or another aspect I would say, is something like maybe as a facility operator, you offer tenant protection program or insurance plans to your tenants to kind of curb your liability and to protect the tenants. Is that built into the software so that can be invoiced and collected seamlessly? You can submit claims that way. So those, that's another thing that maybe some might not think about up front, but that can be really helpful. And then obviously things like kind of Josh was mentioning, but being able to, if someone wants to go online and rent a unit that way, or make payments that way, or does my management software speak to my accounting practices, whatever I'm using for that, does it talk with my accountant? And so financials are easier. So those are some of the additional things that I would look for or ask about, on top of the obvious need of, are you housing my units? What's available? How much does it cost? Things like that.
So that's super helpful. So now to piggyback off of that, just one more question for you. If, let's say, an operator chooses a management software platform and they decide to go with that, how does that affect or integrate with a call center or a call management service? If they want to enlist a call center to help with answering the day-to-day calls, how does that call center integrate or talk with the management software so that they are able to see and know what's going on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So, being in that vein for so many years, obviously we've gotten to know some of the different call center or call management teams out there, and most of them do it, I guess a couple different ways. So depending on the call center you go with, sometimes they will just like log in directly to whatever management system or software you have chosen. And that's okay if that's like the only software that call center is used to working with. But if you're working with a management company that's a little more established, maybe they might be answering phone calls for several different FMS platforms. And so what we've done within Zion is we've created our own proprietary software that speaks directly to the different management softwares via the API. And so for our call agents, when a call comes in, that the agent doesn't even know or have to know which management software that facility is using, because it looks the same for them. So the agents don't have to be trained in all these different systems and softwares. It looks the same for them. It's a very uniform system, no matter what management platform the owner is using. And that just kind of cuts down on user error, human error, and it just makes it a better experience for the customer. So that's a good question. I would ask how the call center is able to tap into your management platform.
Perfect. Makes sense. Changing directions a little bit. Let's turn over to Ty again, and want to ask Ty kind of, obviously an accounting question, but once somebody builds or buys a storage facility, obviously they need to think about how they're going to operate that location. But there's a lot of stuff that has to happen on the back end too. So Ty, can you give us a little bit of information about what they should be looking for when choosing an accountant, and what sort of services you provide and you think a good accountant should provide to a storage facility operator?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Christian. On our side, we kind of help take care of all the accounting side of it for the storage facility owner. So we do everything from the bookkeeping to the end of month reconciliations to the end of year tax return. We can help run payroll. We file 1099s. And I think that's just one, I guess, big burden that's just lifted off of the storage facility owner's shoulders right away. It's like they don't want to go figure out how to do the bookkeeping. They don't want to go read through IRS tax code to figure out who needs a 1099 and who doesn't. So I think right away, that's just one big burden that's lifted off the shoulders of the storage facility owner. And not only that, but I would look for a bookkeeper or an accountant that is familiar with current tax laws and self-storage specifically. You get into self-storage, you may have owned businesses before, but you get into self-storage and it's passive income instead of active income, and the tax laws change quite a bit. And so I would look for someone, again, who's familiar with tax law and the self-storage industry, so you can hop on the phone with them and they know how to best advise you. Should we depreciate this asset? Should we take bonus depreciation on this asset? Should we get a cost segregation done? I would look for someone who's familiar with that can not only lift all that burden off of taking care of the bookkeeping, taking care of the tax return, the 1099s, but is also someone you're able to hop on the phone with and have a conversation and ask those types of questions.
So I imagine, Ty, you probably see or hear from operators that are maybe using an accountant that's not as familiar with a self-storage industry or a storage facility in general. And there's might be things that they're missing. Am I right?
For sure. And that's where I think finding someone who's willing to work with the CPA that the self-storage facility owner has is important too. We have clients where we just do the bookkeeping for, and we don't do any tax work. We just communicate and help their personal accountant figure out their tax side. We have clients where we take care of the business tax return at the storage facility level and kind of communicate and work with their CPA to help kind of get the best benefit for them personally.
Awesome. Iris, I saw you just pop in here.
I did want to pop in. Chad answered one of our poll questions, and I wanted to address it a little bit. He said, we've considered outsourcing to a call center, but especially for after hours, we just don't get enough calls between our two facilities to justify the cost, at least not yet. And I know Josh touched a little bit about marketing, and that's something that's very close to my heart. So, how can we get those phones ringing? There's outsourcing for the marketing, the SEO, and how important that is. And maybe also for things that are after hours, outsourcing your website, some management there. And does Zion, do you do something where people can do an online chat, or maybe that's some other company that does something like that?
Yeah, so good question. We do offer chat, and in fact, all of our clients have the ability to put a chat widget on their website, and then we actually have live agents responding to those chats. That's not just a chat bot, but that brings up a good point. Is a call center is only as helpful and beneficial if they're receiving phone calls, right? And we got to get those phone calls generated. So I think it's a good time to maybe transition over to Josh and kind of ask, Josh, what are your opinions on generating phone call and website traffic? What do you think is it offering specials or promotions that helps get people in the door? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think promotions are a big one, especially right now. 2 years ago, it was really easy to get phone calls and generate rentals because of just how the landscape of the storage industry was. But now we're kind of seeing that turn back to what it used to be a little bit pre-COVID. So yeah, absolutely. I think generating phone calls, it comes one from being found online. You got to be able to be found first so they can, one, get your number or hopefully take an action online, whether it be chatting with somebody or renting online. And two, once they find you, having that phone call, on your end where you're able to actually talk with the person and close the deal is kind of something that people don't see. I work with a facility where they don't want people to rent online. all they want is for them to call, because they know when people call them, they're going to be able to, the call center that they work with is going to be able to close them, 80 to 90% of the time. So getting somebody on the phone is super important. And with promotions right now, with the competitiveness of storage industry, that's kind of how people are going to call. They see, okay, the pricing is good, it's competitive, they're also offering this promotion, let me give them a call and see. And once they talk to that person, they build that trust, they're going to take that action for the rental.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a program, SBOA has the mystery shopping program where we can monitor, the calls that you get in, or we can actually do personal shops where they actually go into the facilities just to make sure whoever is answering those phones is getting the answers that you want, or they're asking the questions that you want answered. That can be tailored to your business, but you want to make sure you have those follow-ups where we've actually even done just in audits of the website where we found out that people were going onto the website, signing up, to get more information, but there was a disconnect within the website. So no one was getting those emails to find out someone was asking a question. So sometimes it's just a matter of getting, I would say it's sort of an audit or a mystery shop to make sure everything is running the way that you want it to.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I totally agree with that. That, I think that comes back to having trust in who you have manage your facility, and being able to still have that transparency that I think James was talking about, and knowing what's happening and going on at your location, but not having to micromanage it necessarily, because you want to be focusing as an owner on other businesses or other things.
Yeah.
So Josh, to kind of piggyback off of that, the promotions is like a quick way to hopefully get people in the door. You had mentioned, being found online or search engine optimization. Can you kind of give us a little bit of context in how long that takes and when someone could start expecting to see traffic and results from that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you actually brought up a good point earlier with your question on like what works best for storage facilities, and the answer is it could be a variety of things. What works best for a facility I handle here in locally doesn't work for the facilities I handle in Indiana. So it's kind of finding that one thing that does get people into the door. I will say this, search engine optimization. And for those who don't know what that, you probably hear it all the time, SEO, as the storage industry is getting a little bit more familiar with the digital marketing terms, but being able to be found on Google is going to be your long-term play. However, like you mentioned, Christian, that may take time. It does take a little bit of time to build trust with Google search engine, following what they deem, relevant to what you want to rank for. So when somebody makes a search like self-storage facility near me, you want to be present, but that does take time for Google to actually recognize you, build that trust, and actually want to put you at the front, because they know the people that are searching are going to find what they're looking for.
And I will just interject quickly. Google, their rules are ever changing, right, Josh?
Right,
so
absolutely.
That's where having a professional company comes in, because as a business owner, trying to keep track of all those changes is mind-boggling.
Right. It's ever changing. I mean, 2 years ago, Google had a big update where you had to have a secure website. It's called an SSL certificate on your website. And those who didn't have those SSL certificates, their website wasn't showing up on Google's network anymore. And they were kind of scrambling on how to figure that out. For our clients, we were on top of that. We knew Google was coming out with that. They gave the warning to people. So we were made sure all of our clients had that beforehand. So their website was good. The other thing I will say, Christian, about the promotions, I think one of the things a lot of facility owners that I've talked to kind of get fearful of promotions. You know, they don't want to give the first month for free because, you know, what if they leave after 1 month, which is definitely a possibility. But I will say, like, getting people in the door is the first step of the battle, and being a good facility keeps them there, and people will stay longer than expected often. You know, even if they think they're only going to rent for 2 to 3 months, they may stay 8 months, you know. So I think having a good promotion once you are found is a really important factor to get the phones ringing as well. But search engine optimization, I think the long term is still going to be the best value because it is free traffic getting to your website after a long time. But in the short term, social media ads on Facebook, Instagram, Google ads are still really viable options, especially if you're a new facility and don't have a big website presence yet on Google. Those things help you get found online really quickly. So,
awesome.
Well, and Josh, you know, what Iris mentioned that Google's always changing their rules. That made me think. I've talked to plenty of owners that will utilize SEO for a while. They get ranked well, they fill up, and then they'll say to me, "Oh, I'm gonna turn it off. I don't need it anymore. I'm full." And I don't know enough about how it works, but I think I know enough to know that that's a no, right, Josh? We don't want to turn it off once it's working.
Right. Yeah, it's a no. I always try to explain to it like you go to the gym, right? You build this muscle, you get muscular. If you stop going to the gym, you're going to lose all your progress and all your results. And it might take a little bit for you to lose those results, but you will end up losing those results. So even though you cancel SEO and, you know, 2 months, 3 months down the line, you're still like, hey, see, it's still working. I'm doing well. You know, eventually it's going to catch up to you and you're going to start seeing those dwindling. And then you got to take the time to rebuild your ranking. And that's never fun. Especially when you were ranked #1 before.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a good comparison, Josh. I like that.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. Definitely.
Yeah.
I do want to go back. I appreciate Chad asking this question and Iris kind of bringing it up. I would like to kind of go back to that. I think something that Chad asked or said is really interesting, where he says that we just don't get enough calls between our two facilities to justify the cost. And you know, that's something that we can resonate with. I will say, and I should have mentioned at the beginning, that all of us either currently are or have been owners of storage facilities ourselves as well. And so we understand this dynamic, right? It's tough to want to give that up or pay somebody else to do it when you can do it yourself. But we also understand that, you know, a lot of owners have other jobs or own other businesses like we do. You know, we have to be able to focus on those as well. So I want to kind of turn this over to Devin and ask Devin, what are some options that someone like Chad or others that own a facility and are currently taking the calls themselves, what are some options that they have in order to keep cost down if they enlist a call center, maybe backup or something like that?
Ooh, yeah. So one of the things that I feel like call centers are doing, and our call center specifically, we have several different answering tiers or styles, and it can be customized to fulfill different needs. So probably the most popular style of answering is when somebody just says like, hey, I'm getting so overwhelmed. I feel like I'm missing phone calls. I just want to turn this over to somebody. But probably slightly less, but still on a pretty frequent basis. Like we get owners saying like, look, I kind of in the same boat that Chad is. Like I don't get that many calls that I feel like I can justify paying somebody to do this full time, but I also I want to ensure that I'm not missing calls or maybe extend my hours of coverage to where I have more coverage in the mornings and the evenings. Some of those after-hour calls that owners feel like they might be missing some potential business. And what we call ours, there's different names throughout the industry, but what we call ours is overflow answering or backup answering. And that's where we set up the technical term is called call no answer forwarding. But essentially what this does is we can set up a custom ring count where it will ring your number. Typically we do it for 3 to 4 rings, which is 10 to 15 seconds on average. And you don't pick up in those initial 3 to 4 rings, then it will automatically transfer the call over to our queue for a full ring count. And a lot of owners really like this because throughout the day they feel like they can handle the current call volume, but for after-hour calls, they can't pick up if they're in the middle of dinner or trying to get their kids to their soccer game or whatever it is. And they don't feel like they can answer their call or they're missing calls, then it would trip that sensor after a certain ring count and then flow over to our queue. And then our agents would be able to help them from there. And of course, the pricing for that style of answering is it's accustomed to like how the actual volume that we'll get on that basis. And it's a lot more affordable than if we were to obviously take all of the phone calls. So there's things like that. We have a really cool service. Again, this is something that's becoming more common throughout the industry, but it's an IVR payment automation to where you can not use the answering service at all. If you just want all payment calls to go to this automated payment system, which is exactly what it sounds like. So when somebody calls in, they would hit a call directory. Hi, thanks for calling ABC Storage. Please press 1 if you're looking to inquire about unit availability. And then that line would go to you, and you could talk to them and schmooze them and tell them why your facility is the greatest. And then the second option, if you're calling to make a payment on your account, please press 2. That goes to the automated payment system, and it'll automatically verify their phone number. It'll read them their balance. If they have a card on file in the management software, they can just select one and it'll use that card on file, or they can manually enter a card payment. But it's a super simple way for tenants to call in and make a payment on their account. And as a facility owner, that's a percentage of the calls that you're getting on a monthly basis that you don't even have to deal with. It just automates that part of your business. And in a lot of cases, they're 24/7. So somebody could call at 3 a.m. You don't have to sweat missing that phone call or missing that payment. So there's options out there that are very affordable, very price conscious compared to like full-time answering and completely outsourcing all of your phone calls. And that's kind of the beauty of it is with these technology decks, you can kind of pick and choose like which ones make most sense for your business and your situation.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think, Iris, we probably, I know we're getting short on time. We probably have time for one more question. And it looks like the poll question, I really like it. It's if you could delegate one key responsibility to focus more on growth, what would that be and why? James, if you wouldn't mind just talking about, I think one aspect of growth that we found in our facilities and with our clients is through tenant protection or tenant insurance. And, tenant protection is something that Zion offers, or we can also, sell it if you already have your own provider. But James, can you kind of give us an idea of what tenant protection is and why it can help with your facility growth?
Yeah, absolutely. So, being in this industry for a while, we have offered several different products or ancillary services, and I believe in all of them. But I will say that I have never seen a product make an owner more money as fast as tenant protection. And I recognize that it's not all about the money, right? That But one reason that I think that we believe in it so much is it's good for the owner and it's good for the tenant. I have talked personally to owners and tenants who have had their unit broken into and they needed to file a claim, and they got money because they had this really cheap monthly tenant protection plan. But watching the numbers of as the facility owner, as their tenants are protecting their things for a really small fee each month, $9, $10, $12, whatever it is, on top of their monthly rent, the revenue for the owner for not having to do anything, it blew my mind, and it was the fastest revenue generator that I have seen since being in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, SBOA has SBOA tenant insurance also. We don't have protection, but insurance. And we see the same
similar.
I can't speak to the differences, but you probably could. I'm not an agent, but we do have shareholders who are doing really well. And of course, it also gives that extra layer of protection and peace of mind to the tenants. So, something that's very important, whatever you do. And is protection available in all the states, James?
Yeah. Yep. And like you said, there's some differences, and one might be better for an owner than another. Absolutely. But it's the same idea where it's protecting the tenants and their things and their interests. And it's also protecting the owner's liability, and it's also making the owner some money. So,
right. Yeah.
We could probably do a whole webinar just on the differences between protection and insurance. So that's our next one, Iris.
Yeah.
Believe me, the wheels are already turning over here. I'm looking at my 2025 schedule, and I would love to do that. And actually, David over at our tenant insurance division and I have talked about maybe doing a panel like that at some of the national shows. And you guys would be great to bring on so you can discuss the differences, in front of an audience so they can really ask those questions, because I'm still shocked at the number of people who are offering nothing. Like at least have something, whatever it is. Look at the differences, look at what works for you, and offer it for two huge reasons: money, easy money, and peace of mind. Like that's something everybody should be doing. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for having us on, Iris, and thank you to James, Devin, Josh, and Ty for joining us as well. I appreciate the content that everybody provided. I feel like it's been super valuable, especially to those that are maybe new to the industry or just looking to buy or build, or so we appreciate everybody's input, and we appreciate you hosting us, Iris.
Well, thank you all for coming. I'm going to go ahead and take you off stage, and I'm just going to go over a couple of upcoming events. Before I take you guys off stage, do you have a booth in North Carolina, Michigan, any shows coming up that you wanted to share with people?
We don't have anything scheduled coming up. We were just in Texas.
Yeah.
And so you might, if you're joining the webinar and you recognize the name, we were there. We for sure will be in Vegas in the spring. So thank you.
All right. Well, have a great week, you guys. And thank you for coming. I'm going to just take you off screen and go over a couple of things. Thanks, everybody who came in to share with us. Thanks, Chad, for your question. Definitely, there was a lot of layers to that we could touch base on. And I'm sure when you have a question, other people have the same question. So I do want to let everyone know we will be back in 2 weeks on Thursday, November 21st. And again, at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And at that time, we will be talking about insurance laws and liens. We'll also be touching on property insurance, not just tenant insurance. And SSA has a new legal panel that we want to talk about. So they'll be coming on to discuss that with you as well. If you are in North Carolina for the show there today, please be sure to stop by table number 29. You will see Aaliyah Drew, our marketing manager, and Brittany Rising from SBOA Tenant Insurance. And Brittany can talk to you a little bit about some new products that we're rolling out. Like I said, property insurance, commercial. And if you'll be in Michigan next week for the show, please come and say hello to me. I will be there. We don't have table numbers, but I'll be there. It's a smaller show, so please come and find me. I'd love to meet people in person, shake your hand, and get to know you. And also, just let everybody know, if you're not already following us on social media, you can find us on your favorite platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And if you have any suggestions or topics that you would like to see covered on Self-Storage Unlocked, please email those to me. It's iris@thesboa.com. Have a great rest of your afternoon. We look forward to seeing many of you virtually in 2 weeks, and in person if you're going to be at the shows.
Thank you for calling Self-Storage. This is how may I help you?
Yeah. And do you guys have any storage available, places, spots available?
You said you're looking for a parking space?
No, I need some storage. I'm moving to town, and I need to put my house in there, or my apartment, I guess I should say.
Okay, absolutely. Are you looking for an air-conditioned unit or a non-climate?
I think non-climate. I don't think anything in there is probably that, sensitive.
All right, and so with that, our non-climate units with the drive-up access, we have the largest being 10 by 35s, and then down from that we have 10 by 30s, 10 by 20s, and 10 by 15.
Yeah, maybe a 10 by 15. I mean, it's actually a 10 by 20.
A 10 by 20? All right, and those are starting at $269 base.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.